Well, it seems that some WNs are not happy with Tucker Carlson because he did some interview somewhere in which he said he was never going to be somebody who pushed white racialism. He was never going to be, that he was against identity politics, and that he was just going to resolutely stay away from it. And that, even if the United States becomes a white minority country, he's not going to turn to white identity politics and say, we need to the white man needs to do what he must do for himself, and be concerned with himself and his own people, and he's always just going to be looking at things in a pan racial sort of way, looking for the best from every race, regardless of whether they're white, black, or whatever else. So a lot of anger towards him from WNs right now. Here's the thing, though. If Tucker had said in some interview, yeah, I really do see the benefits of white nationalism, and I think that whites need to look out for their own interests. They're becoming a minority in their own country, and I would support a white racialist movement, in the future if it came to that. He would get fired. Do you not realize that? He would get fired, and he would get removed, and he would receive all kinds of anger and condemnation, from conservatives. Conservatives would fall all over themselves to disassociate or to distance themselves from Tucker Carlson if he were to make such remarks. So here's the thing, WNs. I think it's important to be pragmatic, and I know you want to see your own perspective represented in the mainstream, but the thing is, your own perspective, the ideology of white nationalism, is viewed, is still seen as just objectionable on its very face. Now, is that fair? No, it's not fair, because it's inconsistent. If white nationalism is bad, then black nationalism should also be bad, and Latino nationalism, and Asian nationalism, Indian nationalism, whatever, any kind of ethnic nationalism should be every kind should be condemned if one kind is condemned, or if one kind is allowed, or if all kinds are, if it's allowed for some, then it should be allowed for all, right? That's consistency. So I get why it's not. I get why it's irritating. I perfectly understand it, but at the same time, if you think that somebody like Tucker Carlson, is out there scoring points in the way that he's in the mainstream, scoring points in for various ways of thinking that aren't generally represented by the mainstream. So you have to be pragmatic in that regard. Now, the mainstream media is never going to be nobody in the mainstream, no representative of the mainstream media, not even anyone at Fox News, certainly not anyone at Fox News, is going to be a white nationalist. And if anyone comes out and says something that even seems to approximate white nationalism, then they're going to immediately lose all their influence and all of their visibility. If you feel betrayed by Tucker Carlson, you shouldn't, because Tucker Carlson was never a white nationalist. He never claimed to be one. And it's not exactly fair to say, and I remember this point being made before by people who were pragmatic. Just it's not fair to say this person is not living up to my ideals of what he should be living up to, when he never claimed the ideals that you live up to, right? He never claimed to see things the way that you see them. The way that he does see things is consonant with the way that you see things in a lot of ways, and his influence is, I would argue, a good thing. If you are someone who differs with him on the question of white nationalism and maybe quite a few other things. I don't know anyone else out there making quite the same points that he's making right now. I don't know whether he's sincere or not. I don't know whether he's just playing a role. I don't know whether he's just controlled op. He could well be, but all of that said, he still has the potential to do much more good if he distances himself from white nationalism and, in fact, condemns white nationalism or says, I'm not into this at all. He's got way more of a chance of being able to do some good that way. I mean, I remember being mad at Tucker when, gosh, can I talk about this? I'll talk about this in a coded way. When there were charges of fraud and in 2020 election, when those charges were out there, Tucker said something like, yeah, there's a lot of irregularities, and those are a problem. There definitely aren't enough to have changed the result of the election. In other words, even with those irregularities not being there, Biden still would have won. Biden still is the rightful winner of this election. I remember being really pissed at him for saying that, and just thinking, you're just a company man. You're on the reservation. You're not going to challenge the mainstream in any significant way. You schmuck. That's how I felt about him. I think I recorded a video about it that might still be up. I think this was before. I think this was after my initial YouTube page was nuked. But thinking back on it now, well, of course he couldn't say something like that directly, because the whole idea of somebody like Tucker Carlson is, he says he's the mainstream. He represents the mainstream, and he gives legitimacy to ideas up to a certain point. And if those ideas get legitimacy up to a certain point and they're being shared in the mainstream, then it's up to those of us out here who aren't in the mainstream, but who aren't afraid of telling the truth and the whole truth, to take his points and take them further, take them where they need to go. So I think I was wrong at that time for reacting the way that I did, for being angry with him over that. He's just not going to be that kind of guy. That's not the function that he serves. That's not the purpose that he serves. Whether he's sincere or just a puppet, just playing a role. So those are my thoughts on Tucker Carlson and white nationalism. Please let me know your thoughts below. Thank you very much for watching.